Death at the gates again. Howling my name. Can't greet you today. I have a war to win.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Wolfenstein, the New Order, Uber difficulty video walkthrough. This is part 2 of chapter 16. There's a lot of dudes in this room. You know, when I played it at the time, I was probably thinking that, and as I'm watching it back, I'm thinking it doubly. It's one of those just massive rooms. It's a big old gauntlet, and it really reminds me of The Matrix because of the way that some of the architecture's set out and the way that the pillars are crumbling and being demolished. And it's something that I hope we definitely look into, because there's not enough destructible environments in games. It seemed to be a phase in the early 2000s when the machines were powerful enough to enable you to break glass and break objects in the environment, and then after a little bit of an eccentric dalliance with it, it stopped. And don't get me wrong, there are certain games that embrace it and use it really well, like your Battlefields with their very, destruction-based engines. But there's not really been any company aside from DICE that have really took it that step further, similar to the way that is it Guerrilla? Oh, is it Volition? I think it was Volition that made Red Faction. If anybody didn't play Red Faction, it was a first-person shooter on the PS2. And you could literally tunnel through the wall and go places. And it was limited, but it still enabled you to do some pretty crazy and fun things. And it had never really been seen, that level of just demolition. And I'm amazed that we've come so far with games looking so beautiful and running so well, yet we've never really made that a valid point of the gameplay. This is the heavy, by the way. There he goes. Turned him into chicken dippers. And picked up his shotgun and the Tesla grenade and some armor. So as you can see, we were in a bit of a shit spot in that room, but now we have full armor and overcharged health, so we should be just fine. Something else to note as well that I've not even mentioned: if you are having trouble with this difficulty, play the earlier ones and pick up all the upgrades. You can come here with probably 200 life and 200 armor if you're having difficulties, and just beat it that way. Just beat it through sheer numbers, and you should have a significantly better advantage then, instead of doing it from a fresh game like I've done. You've got all your perks, you've got all your benefits, all your weapons are upgraded, so you're going to be able to use super powerful versions of guns when you first pick them up, and it'll mitigate a lot of the challenge. Also, you could do the glitch that allows you to beat the last boss if you just want to do it quickly, but there's going to be a big edit coming up here, guys. When you climb this ladder, you get ambushed by the attractive-looking crazy guy who was on the train, and I tried throwing a grenade into the vent before I climbed the ladder, and then I thought against it because there's probably nothing it would do, so instead I edited it so you couldn't tell that anything was different. But you'll notice my life is really low and I've been drugged. So what you missed there was he injects you with something that apparently should start shutting your body down. But because we're kind of a super soldier and we've been messed about with, it doesn't, and we somehow survive it. But this particular instance in the game I found really confusing when I played, because we've just been drugged, and then immediately afterwards we see all our friends all happy together breaking out of prison. And my first instinct is I'm tripping balls and this is not real. But the game just kind of embraces it, like, look at this. It's like, what? How does this work? And then, secondly, that makes this kind of strange, is you kind of collapse on the floor, and all the people who are supposed to care about you completely leave you and go and get in the elevator. Yeah, I'm all drugged up and in trouble, and my friends are leaving me. So it just makes me think, is this bit even real, or is there something else happening here? I just found it really confusing on my first playthrough. But the game just runs with it. It's just kind of strange, and everything just felt so coincidental. Like, oh, more prisoners. Fancy seeing you here. This isn't, a fairy tale-esque perspective at this point. But there's a really good line here. But due to the nature of this guide, you're not going to be able to see it because I trimmed the cutscenes out. But here is the dumbest boss on the game. So he tries to electrocute you. He powers up the door. You press the door, he grabs you, he knocks you outside, and then it's fight time. But when he punched you, you lost all your weapons, so even if you had full grenades, you have to pick up some grenades before it lets you do this. And this is kind of stupid, because it's super easy, but sometimes the detection on the press X to pull the thing out of his machine doesn't work. Like, look at this bullshit. That should have been it. That should have been it done. If it had have worked, it would have allowed me to press X and rip the brain out, and this fight is over. But for some reason, it just didn't work, and I end up wasting a ton of grenades, and this becomes significantly more complicated than it ever should be. But the good news is, it's a very simple thing to do. You just need to get lucky. Like, there we go. That was it. Why did it not do that before? So dumb. And this is the final boss. So, the danger here is the boss hurts a lot. The perfect strategy for this sequence is to cut the fence on your left, cut the fence on your right, and then run. Throw a grenade at the boss. A Tesla grenade will stun him for a duration. You'll take no damage as you get up to the cannon. You fire the cannon at the Zeppelin, then you throw another grenade at the boss, and then you run back to where I'm stood now. This area, you cannot be damaged unless he does the charged, like, EMP grenade thing. And the cool thing about it is, he doesn't shoot you with his other weapon until that EMP field has stopped. So you can stand out of cover, wait for it to go off, and then stand back in. And this piece of cover that we're on right now makes this a perfect fight when it comes to being able to be defensive. And for some reason, this fence is trolling me, so just ignore this, but this is not how it's meant to go. And it's just like, what is fucking happening at this point? Like, come on, game. So I get through this part so I can pick up all this ammo, and I'm doing this in preparation for the last phase, because you're going to get a checkpoint after you kill this phase, and every time you die on the boss you have to pick all the shit back up, and if you die a lot it becomes very frustrating, as you can no doubt imagine. But here is your charge. This is what's going to enable you to cut and do all that good stuff. Stun the boss, laser cut this. Hopefully you don't get unlucky like I just did with that crazy EMP. But it happens, you know. It's all about patience. Very simple. He does a lot of damage. That's the only thing he's got going for him. And this bullshit here, which this never happened on my first fight with this boss on Uber. Like, I had freedom to cut these things without any molestation. It just doesn't make sense. But there we go. There's that panel off. Load this thing back up, even though I don't really need to, because it's not taking too much energy. But laser this one, and now all you need to do is throw a grenade at the boss, stun him, and then make your way across. And I decide to try and run this to see how much damage he does, and watch my life. At the side of you on this walkway is a ton of HP and a ton of armor, which can help you if you're in trouble, but as you just saw, he stripped me of all my armor and he stripped me of a lot of life, so you can be reckless like I just was, but it's better to not be. And it only takes one shot to destroy the Zeppelins. Zeppelin is down, and now you need to get back behind that piece of cover where we just were. So you can either throw a grenade at the boss if you want to, or you can just run it like I do. I just took 60 damage off the boss then, so it might be worthwhile to throw a grenade at him to stop that from happening. But I was confident in my ability to do this, because this is only tricky when you have no idea what the game wants you to do, and that is one of the many sins that Wolfenstein has at times. The waypoint is never that obvious in some of the sections. This is a better way of doing this. Midway on the catwalk, throw a grenade to stun him. He's still recovered though, because he recovers really quickly and does some serious damage. But aim up. Like, this is a fight that's going to be really difficult on hardcore, because you're going to have 1 HP value, and you need this guy to be stunned all the time when you're out of cover, because if he isn't, you're going to put yourself in a really bad spot. But right here it gets a little bit dodgy, but now we've fired both the cannons, all we need to do is throw a Tesla grenade at the boss, and it's going to like overcharge his shield and destroy parts of his suit. So run away, cut the boxes, or smash them, and you should find a grenade here somewhere. I've not exactly been all that great with my grenades. I should have had one left, but I didn't because I was too busy tossing them out like an idiot. But this will end the fight, and this will get you a checkpoint. So if you're fast right now, you can pick a ton of shit up and get it all saved by the checkpoint. But I just wasn't very quick to do that, so you're going to see me pick a load of stuff up and then continue onwards to the final form, which is in a separate video. So this is the preparation, this is your checkpoint, this is the final checkpoint of the game. And the fight coming up is very luck based, in as much as the position I'm going to show you where I stood was something I tried on a whim, and it worked. He somehow didn't shoot me as much as I thought he would have, because visibly I didn't seem to have that much cover. I was just in a spot where he couldn't seem to hit me all that well, and he died fast. And when I researched it to see if anybody else had figured it out or anyone else had used it, I noticed on the forums that a ton of people were mentioning the same thing. So it seems like it's a really good strategy. For people who can't do it that way, my only recommendation would be to kite the room, you know. Put as much distance between him as you can and keep charging up your weapon, shooting it max damage at him. Get the double grenades on these assault rifles, hit him with every grenade you've got, and save your Tesla grenades for when he's close to stun him, to either do some damage and go for broke, or to get away from him. But you shouldn't need to if you follow what I do in the next video, because it should give him a nice big old shit sandwich. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the finale. You take care now.